What is clean code, Uncle Bob? I'm Chris Thanis. I'm a KMP developer. Tech support said they're gonna call. They're coming out Tuesday to fix that thing. Finally, yeah, we'll see. What was clean code, Uncle Bob? I don't know. What is clean code, Uncle Bob? Let's hear the master. I have mixed feelings about mixed Uncle Bob. I think on one level he knows what he's talking about, but on another level he may have not have done big projects lately to know the struggle that we're all dealing with. This total chaotic mess. All right, let's listen to what he has to say.
So I wrote to Yarna. I said, Yarna, what does clean code mean to you? And he said,
Yarna, Yarna. Okay.
and this is very typical of Yarna Strustrup. He said, I like my code to be elegant and efficient. And then he said this: clean code does one thing well. One thing well. Now, this one thing idea has been around in software for 40 years or more.
And it's totally like it's an idea thinking point. It's not a concrete thing that you can point at. It's a conceptual idea space. It's not a concrete law. Okay, let's keep going.
People are always writing about how a function should do one thing and one thing well.
What does that even mean? That's totally context specific. Now, if you're talking about the Allen K, where you're encapsulating data and functionality inside of a boundary, okay, maybe. But even inside that, you're still doing things inside. So how do you decide what those boundaries are? Well, it depends on all the things it depends on, which is the use case. Who's this for? Who's the customer? What is the context? What problem are we solving? What technology are we using? Why are we doing this? Is there, why this thing and not 1,000 other things? What the context, culture, language? Who is the customer? Is it the VC, or is somebody paying the subscription fee, or somebody else? Who is the user? Who's going to be using this? Who's paying for it? All that stuff, man. It all comes inside that, and then breaking those things down to the units, usually across way the company is split up, some sort of division. It's Conway's Law and all that. Let's keep going.
It's a very, very old idea, and Strustrup.
It's not an idea. It's just how things kind of are. Like, who cares where the ideas come from? Also, it's kind of silly. That stuff is like a lot of this stuff pre-exists. These people didn't invent it. They were just talking about it. Like, he didn't invent. Like, Uncle Bob didn't invent solid. He was just collector. He's like a little junk collector. He was a junk collector, hawker, salesman. It's like, I got junk over here for sale. And it was just, there's all kinds of other ideas that are even more useful, but that's just the ones that he happened to curate and pick out. Let's keep going. That's just not it's not like industry standard, but people think there's like industry standard, but it's like what's a technique to use that we can get from A to B to solve a problem for a customer that we can get in the middle of and charge them for and make money, profit, so we can vacations and braces and kids go to college and new cars and all that stuff. What are you doing? Come on.
Goes it here. Grady Booch.
Grady Booch, the Booch. He likes the UML. He thinks it'll solve all AI problems and get us to space. The Booch. I did a series of videos with him. You can check my log. The Booch. Okay, keep going, Chris.
The chief scientist at Rational.
Oh my God.
He wrote a book in 1988 called Object-Oriented Software Design with Applications. Anybody read that book? 1980s, late 80s?
I glanced at it and I was like, what is this? This is all UML, of course.
Do we have anybody who was born then?
I was.
Yeah, okay, good. All right, so that's fine.
I was messing with the stuff back then. It was all crazy. It's been crazy the whole time. There's all kinds of things, people talking about all kinds of stuff. Who knows what was going to be real and not real.
Fascinating book, very early book on object-oriented design. Grady Booch is also the
Booch.
first person, I believe, to have the title chief scientist. I think he invented that. And Rational said, yeah, you can be the chief scientist, that's fine. And ever since then, everybody's wanted to be a chief scientist at some company somewhere.
Oh, that means I'm going to a spaceship, I'm going to go to the stars, I'm going to invent the AI. Yeah, I'm a chief scientist. Stop.
So I asked Grady, Grady, what's clean code? He said, clean code is simple and direct. Fine. And then he said this.
What the hell does that mean? What does simple and direct mean? What are you talking about, dude? Are you talking about the clean code thing? Or are you talking about something else? Booch.
Clean code reads like well-written prose.
What does that even mean? Well written prose? Excuse me, what is that even? Well, for who? Are we writing poetry? Are we trying to get a girl to take us out on a date? Are we text messaging somebody? Or do we need to get the order done quickly? Well written prose. What does that even mean, dude? This is the kind of stuff I don't like that Uncle Bob does. He pontificates on the prose of code. Yes, there's much pontification. It's like, dude, he doesn't really say anything concrete. So this is not helpful. This is not helpful, dude.
Have you ever read code that
Complicated logic helper, maybe. What did he say? What did he say, mate?
have you ever read
Hark. Have you ever read the code that read like prose? It's like, okay, what is this? It's some kind of sorting algorithm thing. I love how DevTools made simple. He just puts this slide. That wasn't in the original thing. This is his addition. This is maybe some code he wrote. It's like, this is crazy. It's like, yeah, it's kind of a little all over the place, but let's keep going.
code
I can tell it's doing some sort of sorting, but other than that, I have no idea.
that read like well-written prose?
What does that even mean? I know that's nice to when it overlaps, but sometimes it's going to be some crappy if then else thing. It's like, well, come on, man. I know we want to try and make the code look as nice as possible because we have to live in it and read it and all that over and over and over and over and over again. And other people need to read it too. And the faster they can read it and less questions they have, the better it is for me that we can move on to this thing so I can buy the house and the braces, the kid, the vacations. Remember talking about the car, new cars, kids, college, 401ks and all that stuff. Come on, what do you think we're doing here? We're like, no, we need to make it more poetic. It's like he's such a book author, right? He's like, I need to make it my code poetic. It's like, yeah, when that overlaps and it works out that way, it's great. And that is kind of like you do want to make this so it's easy to be read by somebody else. It's not gonna be like, what the fuck is all this shit? What is all? You don't want them to do that. You want them to go, okay, I kind of see what's happening. You want them to look at that and go like that. I kind of see what's happening. Not, what the hell is all this shit? They don't want that reaction. So it's like, because if you've looked at the people's code, you're like, realize that the only solution to that, what the fuck is this, is to be like a little more diligent. If you can, if you have the time, you got product market fit already, and maybe you're doing version 2, yeah, maybe spend a little time, make it readable, but make it effective prose. What does it even mean? What is the metric, sir? And look, these people are like, yeah, prose. Yeah, sounds good, Bob. Sounds good, Bob. They're like, this guy's like, he's talking about poetry again. This guy's like, oh, poems. I'm gonna give him a like over here. You should go give him a like and subscribe because it's great.
And let's go to Michael Feathers. Michael Feathers.
All right, mister.
I wrote to Michael. I said, hey, Michael, what's clean code? And he said,
Oh, my God.
clean code always looks like it was written by someone who cares. What a lovely statement. That's
Cares about what, sir? Cares about the code, cares about the efficiency, cares about the paycheck he's getting. What are you talking about? Someone who cares. Like, what do you even cares about what? Are we, see, the thing is, he does a lot of it. See, this is the reason why it gets a little annoying, because he does a lot of these open loops. He doesn't do closed loops. At least Kevlin, Henny, he does closed loops. But Uncle Bob does these closed loops of just this verbose, like, flowery language, like, nail to something down, man. And then he asked his programmer buddies who are also in the conference circuit and book circuit and lessons and consulting circuit. So let's be real about that. He asked them to wax poetic about it. It's like, come on, man. A lot of this programming stuff is digging ditches. Let's be real honest about it. And if we can make the ditch kind of nice while we're digging it, more so than it. But it's never going to be like, oh, we're never going to be lounging in luxury while we dig a ditch, okay? I mean, let's be real about it.
It's a good attitude right there. Clean code always looks like it was written by someone who cares. When's the last time you read a module and your thought as you were reading that module was the author cared about
KMP? I do feel like that about KMP, how they design, compose, and put it all together and thought it through, and how they put everything else together. Kotlin and language, I can tell someone has put a lot of care and thought and refinement and testing and look at it like and having bad experiences with other code bases, especially Java, and how which direction it took and like kind of going in a different direction. So yeah, like in the language how it feels, it definitely feels that way. It's very unusual because most of the languages are total garbage, darn like steaming piles. I'm like, what are you thinking? So I thought that when I was forced to learn Java when I was doing Android development, and you had to do Kotlin now. It's like, well, I don't want to do. I already tried to do another damn language, and then it was refreshing to find out. It was like, oh, okay, they actually thought this one through. They haven't just slapped a bunch of shit together like C++. Then he's like, oh, the new thing this week we discovered somebody else a thing, and it looked like it might dethrone us. So throw the feature in there. C plus doesn't fit in with it. Nope, we don't know. It's just kind of throw it in there, but it doesn't seem to be fully functional. Doesn't seem to be fully fleshed out. Like, no, that's not what we're doing it. C++ 20 version 21. We're gonna slam some more shit in there. So Kotlin feels that way. Yeah, they give a shit. But that's someone who cares about the language and the experience of us programmers in this environment and trying to minimize the layers of complexity, not adding my little, look at me, I did a refresh for comments number 29. It's like, it is an open source thing, but still like not this ego contest of mega corporations. It's more like a bunch of Russians playing chess and trying to figure out how to refine the chess game.
About me. The author cared about everybody else who was going to be reading that code.
Okay, I missed that part. Yeah, about me, like the other person, like be empathetic about the other programmer. And the thing, it's so difficult because by the time you get decent enough as a programmer, like 4 or 5 years in, you realize that you're gonna have to be the one that fixes all that stuff, and you're like, that's like kind of a heroic mission to keep going after 5 years, at least, or burning out or whatever, and then coming back and trying to do this and like take on some of this ridiculousness that was built in this 2-week sprint bullshit. It's like, oh my god, I gotta get it in the. It's gonna be a 6-pointer, and I said it was 2, and my estimates are off. And, well, might as well cut some corners here. And it's like it's all built that way. It's like, what do you expect? What do you expect when it's built like that? There's not this long, like thinking, considerate thinking about whether this is good or not, and throwing stuff away that doesn't make no sense anymore, like actively deprecating stuff, and like we're not doing it that way. And like not, and then trying to think it through, do minimal amount of that stuff, and really let core features settle. Like that's just super rare because who's got the budget for that?
When's the last time you had that experience?
Okay, I just told you.
The author of this code cared about me. Very interesting. And by the way, it brings up a fascinating point.
But there's so many ways to take that, Uncle Bob. Cared about me, the user, cared about me, the programmer, cared about me, the next guy, cared about me in the future not being hassled because my code makes sense and I don't have to explain everything of it. Why I've not used variable names that make any sense. It's just A1, A2, X1, X2.
What's your job? You may think that your job is to get code to work. That's not your job. That's only half of your job. And it's the least important half of your job.
I mean, it's important.
The more important part of your job is that you must write code that other people can maintain.
Oh, so they teach that in school? No, never heard of it. There's no class about how to make readable code for other people? No. Oh, you have to be, it has to be, that's your style sheet, huh? Each company has to do it, a style sheet. I have one, by the way. But it's like, oh, so you're offloading that to a trade secret? All right. Yeah. So they don't know how to do that. You're not an instructor on how to do that. You have to be this kind of personality that wants to have their code be understood. That's another thing too. I don't know if you realize that, but there's a lot of people out here that are like, their job security is wrapped up in their code being misunderstood. Oh, and you want to make it easier for other people to understand code, so it's easier for you to be offloaded, to be your job go to some other country? Come on, Uncle Bob.
Can make work. If you hand me code that works perfectly, but I can't understand it, then as soon as the requirements change, that code is useless. On the other hand, if you give me...
Okay, true. But is this part of the budget? Is part of the time estimate? Am I making the code run and with tests and a PR and the back and forth and make it readable in the future for everyone that may or may not come along? Is that a part of the estimate? Because it's usually not. It's usually, could you get it done? We gotta get this feature out because the Johnson account is gonna cancel unless we have this feature.
Code that does not work, but I can understand it, I can make it work. It is much more important that your peers be able to understand the code you write than that the computer can understand the code.
Okay, yeah, but like that's very difficult. And by the way, is there classes in computer science and engineering how to make your stuff understandable to other people? No, no, there's nothing like that. I've been to boot camps. I've been to all kinds of classes. They never mention how do you make it understandable to other people. How do you put your headspace around that? People are struggling just to get the stuff working and dealing with all the updates and everything like that, and all the crazy upgrades and the frameworks and all the thing. You're asking to put another layer on top of that to make it so other people that I may or may not know or talk to could understand it. That's a big order, man. That's why. That's why it's like they're not teaching that. So how would you? And you're just talking about it. You're not even instructing people how to do it. You're just like, just make sure it can be understood by aliens 3,000 years in the future. It's like, dude. And how do you do that, Uncle Bob? Well, that's for you to figure out. It's like, thanks, buddy. You helped us out there. The thing you want to do is go mining. You actually want to find the gold. You want to find the gold, and then you take the gold and you melt it down and you make it into little coins for money. It's like, okay, yeah, that's great, but how do you find the gold? Well, that's the thing. You got to be out there finding gold. Okay.
Code that you wrote. It is more important to communicate with your peers using a programming language than it is to communicate with the computer.
I mean, they have to both be there. You can't get rid of both. Both are important. But the thing is, what's been counting lately and everyone pays attention to is making the computer do it. And then peer thing has been secondary because there's been no impetus. I'm not hearing anybody talk about here's how you make your code readable for other people. Here's some ideas and concepts because it's so context specific, domain specific, team specific, use case specific. There's no general rule on how to do that. And that's the value add that we're bringing. So it's like, come on.
Because if you do that well, somebody will make it work.
I don't know about that.
The last one, Ward Cunningham. Who knows who Ward Cunningham is?
I don't know.
Somebody heard the name?
I think I'm about
You know who that is, huh? A few of you do. So, no, you'll know who he is as soon as I tell you. He's the guy who invented the wiki. Who's used the wiki?
Everybody.
Everybody puts their hand up. Okay.
It's a CRM. Ooh. It's a wiki. It's like, just a bunch of files. Okay, let's keep going.
Chris. Ward Cunningham is the guy who invented the wiki. He invented the wiki out of 19 lines of Perl in 1990-something.
Perl. See, that was how he had to be super duper nerdy just to get this stuff to work. And Perl. Ugh. I mean, if you know Perl, it's easy to write, but reading that stuff, I can't believe people actually accepted that. But it was long. I'm glad it was a brief period.
Something or other. Put it up on the website. By the way, that very first wiki is still alive. You can get to it if you want to. The URL is c2.com. The letter C and the digit 2.com. That is the very first wiki ever. It's still there. And by the way,
there were also other programs before that had indexes of data and pages. These definitions are sort of silly. We had encyclopedias. We had CD-ROMs. Okay, whatever, man.
It's full of fascinating stuff. You'll see all kinds of design pattern stuff and extreme programming stuff and agile stuff because it was there at the beginning.
All right.
And I asked Ward.
Okay, great, man. Okay, what is... He's like... Man, it's like stuck in the past a little bit, like reminiscing about the past and all the great things that used to be there. It's like, dude, how is this relevant? How is this helping us write clean code?
Ward, what's clean code? And he said this. You know you're working on clean code when each routine you read turns out to be pretty much what you expected.
Oh my God. This is not helping.
When's the last time you read code? And as you're reading it, it was pretty much what you expected. You read
I
it.
mean, with you, maybe UI Kotlin code, if you know what the screen's supposed to look like, you can kind of guess some of the things are going to be in there. I mean, what? That's weird, man. It's so vague. This is not really valuable.
Reading along and you're going, yeah, yes, yep, 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 yes, yep, yep. When's the last time you had that experience? What he's saying is no WTFs per minute, zero. Clean code is no surprises, no WTFs. Everything.
Okay, so he's redefining to all these different things. It's like basically just how about good code? I guess is the best. He's saying it's clean, but he's basically using the word clean and good interchangeably. I don't know, man. Uncle Bob's, I don't know, he's a little odd. He's a little odd character. I definitely give. Sometimes he hits it, and so other times like, nah, maybe he's just a wrong clock twice. He's accurate twice a day kind of deal. All right, I'll leave a like and subscribe, and a link to my free course on programming, which I go into some of the detail about what he's talking about in more detail, is in the link thing below. All right, give me a like, subscribe, bye.